NBC, the place to be for news, sports, and great entertainment. The place to be.
To this woman. And also to one of these three women. Number one, what is your name, please?
My name is Mary Tomerlin.
Number two.
My name is Mary Tomerlin.
Number three.
My name is Mary Tomerlin.
Only one of these people is the real Mary Tomerlin, and is the only one sworn to tell the truth. Now let's meet our panel. Co-star of Murder, She Wrote, Ron Masak. From Head of the Class, Christine Hyde. Actor and raconteur, Orson Bean. And to tell the truth's very own, Kitty Carlisle. Here's the host of To Tell the Truth, Lynn Swan.
Thank you. It's a score. We're in the end zone. Good morning, panel.
How you doing?
Let's get right to the story presented by our first team of challengers, all three of whom claim to be Mary Tomerlin. And here is her story. Please read along with me. I, Mary Tomerlin, am married to a bigamist. Not only is he a bigamist, he's a liar, a thief, a forger, a con artist, and possibly a murderer. After he stole my heart, he stole my money, $40,000 to be exact. I've organized a support group of some of his victims, 6 women whose lives have been ruined by this man. He's married to 2 of us, engaged to 3 of us, and 1 just narrowly escaped his advances. Even with warrants out for his arrest, he's still walking around free, taking advantage of more women. I'm hell-bent on stopping him, and I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I'm offering a $1,000 reward for information leading to his arrest and conviction. His name is Gerald Soderquist, and if you see him, call the Denver, Colorado police. Signed, Mary Tomerlin. We'll find out more about Mary Tomerlin's story right after this. All right, panel. These 3 people all claim to be Mary Tomerlin, who is married to a bigamist. So let's start the questioning with Kitty Carlisle.
Thank you. Number 1, what made you love him?
He promised to give me everything that I wanted. I thought he loved me.
And number 2, how did you find out he was a bigamist?
The wife called me Sunday morning after she married him on Friday from a business card he'd given her.
And number 3, did the same thing happen to you, and why did she call you?
He was married to me for 6 months, and then he had himself another little marriage on Friday, and he gave her his business card and said that was his garage. Well, that was my home. And she happened to call because she was a little unhappy with him, and I answered the phone.
Thank you. Number 2, what had he done that made her unhappy?
Some friends of hers were checking out a lot of his stories, and they didn't jibe. He'd said he wrecked a car and so forth. It didn't happen.
Well, he certainly liked pretty ladies. It's no doubt about that.
Also like having that home business in his garage, too. Orson.
This is why it's America's Most Wanted. I love it. Yeah, if you could get enough of his women together, you could have a volleyball team. You could turn this into... Number 1, now, did you call him Jerry?
Yes, I did.
Oh, sweet. Number 3, now, I noticed he has a mustache in the picture. Does it tickle when you kiss a guy with a mustache? I've always just wanted to ask that.
I'll tell you what, he was so charming that I didn't even notice the mustache.
Well, he must have been. Number 2, what was the most charming? Did he bring you roses? What comes to mind that he did that swept you off your feet?
He was retired military, had a $1,300 a month pension, lots of flowers and jewelry.
You were charmed by his pension. I see. All right, number 1. Now, what's your relationship with these other women? I mean, are you close because you have a common enemy?
Yes, exactly. We want to see him prosecuted.
I think this is wonderful.
Yeah, and that's the least of what they want done to this man.
I don't want to ask what you mean.
Christine Hyde.
Number 1, where do all you ladies live?
We all live in Denver, Colorado.
And number 3, how did he get successive marriage licenses?
He had no problem at all. He was married to me for 6 months when he married another gal
In the
at
same
our
name?
6-month anniversary time.
Wow. Number 2, where did you meet him?
At Holiday Inn, Teddy's Bar
Oh,
and
lovely.
Lounge. 4 of us or something like that.
In 6 months, the honeymoon doesn't last long anymore, does it? Ron Masak.
Number 2, how did you meet all of the other women? I know you explained how you met the other wife. How did you meet the other women?
There were a lot of different ways to find them. One was a telephone book that I'd found in a truck of his.
Aha. Number 1, it said that he's also a liar, a thief, and a forger. How did you find, and maybe possibly a murder? Tell me about the possible murder.
Well, I really believe he was planning to kill me. Things were getting very heavy, forging checks and things like that, but he actually had taken out several life insurance policies on my life and said he worked for a particular life insurance company that he quit as soon as he bought the policy on my life.
Time's up, panel. And it's time for you to decide whether it's number 1, number 2, or number 3. Our team of challengers will receive $500 for each incorrect vote with a guarantee of $1,000. And if the panel is fooled completely, the team will receive $3,000. So, panel, if you're ready to cast your ballots, we'll start with Kitty Carlisle.
Well, they're all wonderfully good, very well briefed and awfully attractive. I voted for number 1 because I think she really was afraid for her life.
Fear in her eyes. Orson.
This is the greatest story. Next week we're going to have somebody on from Horse Lovers Anonymous. We're branching out. This is. I put the wrong. I'm going to vote for number 3. She's a good-looking woman, and if I was going to marry several women, she would be one of them.
Okay. Keep that in mind. Christine.
Me too, me too. Okay, well, it was very difficult. Number 2 answered something that sort of looked like, uh-oh, I hope I said that right. And I don't know how you could miss the mustache, number 3, so I went with number 1.
Number 1. 2 votes for number 1.
I'm starting to understand this woman next to me. Do you know that?
Well, that's good,
I had
Ron.
no idea what she just said, but it made a lot of sense, didn't it?
Well, now you get your chance.
Well, you know, I always try to eliminate somebody for some special reason, and I really couldn't find any reason to eliminate the 2 people that I didn't pick. I just went along, I think, with the nervousness of number 2, and that just got to me. So that's where I went.
Well, our panel is split. We have 2 votes for number 1, a single vote for number 2, and a single vote for number 3. But now it's the moment of truth. Will the real Mary Tomerlin please stand up? Number 2. Good instincts, Ron. Very good. Let's find out about your imposters. Number 1, you received 2 votes. What's your name and what do you do?
My name is Nancy Walker, and I own a fine jewelry business in Redondo Beach.
Thank you for being here. Number 3, you received a vote. Your name and what do you do?
My name is Flora Collins, and I have an antique shop.
Thank you. Now, Mary, we have a picture of, there were 3 incorrect votes. So that means your team will receive $1,500 for being on the show, okay? Now, we have a picture, Mary, of you and Jerry, and you look quite happy. Now, how long before you really got unhappy with Jerry?
About 2 months.
About 2 months, when he started not fulfilling all his promises.
My dentist called me and told me that the check had bounced that I gave him to get his teeth fixed.
Whoa.
$1,000 check, and it shouldn't have bounced.
Well, we also have here Madeline Swindinsky, who is also married to Jerry. Madeline, would you come on, please? Now, Madeline, we have a picture of you with Jerry on your wedding day. Now, how long were you married before you found out that he was married to someone else?
Luckily, we only lived together for a day and a half before I found a business card of his and called Mary.
So you didn't lose out on money, did you?
No.
Well, good for you. Thank you for being with us here today on To Tell the Truth. We'll be right back with a baseball player who can't see the ball right after this.
Buzzers Pick and Play Summer Celebration.
We're back. Let's meet our next team of challengers.
Number 1, what is your name, please?
My name is Dr. Ed Bradley.
Number 2.
My name is Dr. Ed Bradley.
Number 3.
My name is Dr. Ed Bradley.
Well, panel, it's up to you to locate the real Dr. Ed Bradley, and here is his story. Please read along with me. I, Dr. Ed Bradley, am blind, but that hasn't stopped me from participating in my favorite pastime, baseball. I'm a player, not a spectator. I am the president of the National Beep Baseball Association. Here's how the game is played. This is the beep ball, and this is how it sounds. A sighted pitcher throws this ball to home plate. The batter hits the ball by swinging at the sound. The runner is guided to the bases by a buzzing sound. Here's how it looks. The first experimental games were played in 1964, and our first World Series was played in 1976. As president of the league, I invite you to come out to one of our games. You'll be glad you did. Signed, Dr. Ed Bradley. And panel, for the obvious reasons, make sure that you ask for the number first. Right. And say your questions very clearly, okay? We'll start with Ron Masak.
Thank you. Dr. Bradley, number 1. First of all, whichever one you are, I have a tremendous amount of respect for you. I'm still the oldest shortstop in America right now, and I have trouble, and I am sighted. Is it, number 1, when you are playing and there's a crowd there, does that make it difficult for you to hear the ball?
Yes, they have to be quiet until after the play.
During the pitch. The fielders, number 2, the fielders, are they also blind?
Yes, sir, they are.
And number 2, when they get the ball and they make the play, because we didn't see enough of that tape, how do you know if you're safe or you're out? I mean, do they throw the ball to first base as we do, et cetera, et cetera?
No, sir. If the ball is cleanly fielded off the ground before the runner touches the base, he's out.
Cleanly fielded off the ground. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Christine.
Number 3, who invented beep ball?
A gentleman by the name of John Ross and some friends of his.
Okay. Number 2, how long have you been playing the sport?
12 years.
Number 1, how did you become president of the Beep Ball Association?
Well, in 1984, we had a general meeting, and I didn't like what that president was saying, so I ran and was elected.
Number 2...
Time's up, Christine.
I think this is a great story. Number 3, are the umpires blind?
We think so sometimes.
Number 1 now, do double plays happen with any frequency in this? I would think that...
No double plays.
No double plays allowed. So the rules are somewhat different, huh?
Somewhat different. There's only 2 bases instead of 3.
Oh, I think
this...
this... What a wonderful idea. Number 2, are you a medical doctor?
No, sir.
Yeah, number 3, you medical doctor?
No, sir.
All right, number 1, what's the wildest thing that ever happened to you in the course of a game?
Wildest thing that ever happened to me was I ran into the pitcher who was sighted.
Kitty.
Number 1, what kind of a doctor are you?
I'm a psychologist.
And number 2, have you been, were you blind from birth?
No, ma'am.
Number 3, were you?
No, ma'am.
Number 1, I don't know an awful lot about baseball, but...
Oh, sure you do, Kitty.
Well, what makes it different with 2 bases instead of 3?
We only run from home plate to either first or third, determined on where the sound. We run toward the sound, so there's no second base, and you score by running one to first or third.
Thank you. Number 2, when you ran into the pitcher...
I'm sorry. That's it. The time is up, and it means it's time for you to vote for either number 1, number 2, or number 3. Panel, if you're ready to cast your ballots, we'll start with Ron Masak.
The reasons are going to be totally silly, of course, because all 3 gentlemen did a marvelous job, and as I say again, tremendous amount of respect. I was looking for all of these obvious body language things going on. I did hear a little more, I think, maybe Bayou Country sound come from number 2, and I noticed that he was the only one wearing a belt with his uniform, so I voted for number 2.
The best dressed. Christine.
Yeah, well, my reasons are much more sophisticated. I thought number 3 looked like he had a little bit more of a baseball tan. You gentlemen were superb. It was very difficult.
Yeah, they're wonderful, and it's a wonderful, inspiring story. Number 3 was scratching himself on the way out here, so I figured he was a ball player.
Kitty Carlisle.
Well, since I'm such a sports expert, I'm sure I'm right. I voted for number 3.
Number 3. Okay, well, that means number 1 didn't receive a single vote. Number 2 has a single vote. And 3 has 3 votes. So all the panel seems to be on that end of our challengers. Now let's find out who the real baseball player is. Will the real Dr. Ed Bradley please stand up? Number 2. Ron, you're on a roll. You're on a roll. Dr. Bradley, I have to ask you, with the rule changes and not being able to see and so forth, it would seem like there'd be a lot of injuries. Are there?
There's not a lot, no, sir. There are some safety factors in the rules to help prevent some of that.
Well, it sounds exciting. I'm going to have to catch one of your games. Let's meet your imposters. Number 1, your name and what do you do?
My name is Ron Kowal. I host a radio talk show called Careers in Show Business here in Los Angeles.
Okay. Number 3, your name and what do you do?
Hi, my name is Jim Chandler, and I own Jim's Home Repairs in Victorville, California.
Well, you did a terrific job. With 3 incorrect votes at $500 a vote, your team will receive $1,500. And thank you for being here on To Tell the Truth. We'll be back to play one-on-one with someone from our studio audience right after this. Now it's time to play one-on-one with someone from our studio audience. So, Burton, who do you have for us today?
Well, Lynn, today we have Tony Benevento from Massapequa, New York.
Thank you, Tony. Glad to have you here.
Pleasure to be here, Lynn.
Here's your chance to play one-on-one. I want you to meet a lady who has 2 stories. Let's meet Jane Lindsay. Welcome, Jane. Now, Tony, Jane is going to tell us 2 stories, and if you can spot the one story that is the truth, you will win $500. So, Jane, what is your first story?
I'm a beauty contest winner. I was just crowned Miss Senior America.
Now, Tony, that may or may not be the truth, so let's listen to Jane's second story.
I teach ballroom dancing, and one of my star pupils is Lynn Swan.
Okay. Panel, to help Tony win $500, you'll ask 1 question about each story. So let's start with you, Kitty, and story number 1, Miss Senior America.
Thank you. And did you have to wear a bathing suit for Miss Senior America?
No, I did not.
Evening dress.
An evening
One question
dress.
only, please. Kitty, you know the rules. Orson.
Well, I can't believe a chicken like you was in a Miss Senior America contest. Like, did you have to demonstrate something like knitting to music or anything?
Not knitting exactly, but talent was part of it.
All right, thank you.
Christine?
What was the question you answered when they interviewed you on stage?
They had interviews, but it was not on stage. We had private interviews with 7 judges.
Orson?
No, that's
Excuse
Orson.
me, Ron, I'm
jump
sorry.
In.
It's
I'll
a
ask
great
Orson's
privilege coming
question.
back in.
Without asking you your age, what is it's Miss Senior America, right? What is the age limit? How old do you have to be? Must you be?
One has to be 60 years of age and older.
Okay. Tony, you've heard the first story. Now we go to the second story, the dancing teacher, Kitty.
Was Lynn Swan a ballet dancer?
He was a ballet dancer, and he took his lessons from me some years back.
Orson?
Does Lynn have rhythm?
You know he does.
Christine.
What dance move did Lynn pick up easiest?
He was working on the samba, but he really does the waltz the very best. My favorite dance.
Old-fashioned
Who was considered the greatest of the ballroom dancing teachers?
Well, how about Jane Lindsay?
Very good.
Okay. Now, Tony, you've heard the cross-examination. Is Jane Miss Senior America, or is she my dancing teacher?
Well, Lynn, I think she's your dancing teacher.
Okay.
I've seen you play football before, and you have some excellent moves. And
Why, thank you. Thank you very much. If you're correct, You win $500. So, Jane, what is your true story?
To tell the truth, I'm Miss Senior America.
I'm sorry, Tony. Thank you for the compliment, but you get no money. But we do have a parting gift for you. And Jane, for stumping Tony out in our audience, you'll win $1,000. I do have a question for you. Your talent, what was it?
I play the violin. I'm a professional violinist. I married my accompanist 46 years ago, and we're still playing around together.
That's wonderful, Jane. Thank you for playing one-on-one and to tell the truth. We'll be right back after this.
California, here is Jane Lindsay, Miss Senior America.
Your classic concentration quickie. Where was the typewriter? We'll be back with the answer right after this. The typewriter. If you guessed number 6, you're right. You've won another episode of Classic Concentration. Tonight at midnight on Buzzer.
And what happened between and today that is really important.
We'll return to As the World Turns in just a moment. Here is the bulletin from our news department.
Dallas, Texas. 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting. More details have just arrived.
You know, before Jack came in, there were only 35 organized crime convictions. Just 35. This year alone, we've had 288.
Kennedy, coming soon to my YouTube channels right here on NBC. Time War. Mega Time War coming.
Who's
Mr. J. Edgar Hoover.
What does he want? Yeah? Bob Kennedy.
For an urgent news flash from Dallas, Texas.
President Kennedy was hit by assassins' bullets at 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. The bullets were fired from a warehouse just off the motorcade route. Governor John B. Connolly was also seriously wounded.
Caroline's staying with the Poses tonight. It's her first night away from home. Come on.